Okay, so we're going to start tonight's class lying down. You're going to lie in maybe a reclining butterfly. So you could, if you have a bolster, lie with it something like this. You're going to sit behind it, feet together, back supported, lying back down. If you don't have something like this, then prop yourself up on blocks or on a couple of cushions, on a blanket. Do what feels good for you. If you've got the ability, even if it's just a folded up blanket like this, and I've got my, thick cotton one out because this is the one that we all should really have. These thin, these sort of fabric ones, not fabric, but sort of soft ones. These are great for covering you over and maybe kneeling on, but a really good dense cotton blanket, the traditional kind of yoga ones, are much sturdier and more reliable. So you could fold it up so that you've got something that looks a bit like that, and then lie over it. So as long as you've got a bit of an openness across the upper back, make sure the head is supported, that the head is not falling back too far, that you can rest your hands, bring your feet maybe into a diamond shape. If you're not ready for this, if your hips are not ready for this just yet, maybe lie with your knees bent, feet on the floor, or perhaps lie with the legs straight or legs crossed, whatever feels most natural to you at this stage of the practice. Okay? Good. Okay, so settle yourselves down, make yourself as comfortable and as supported as possible, and begin to become aware of your breath. Anna, you're a bit too high up, so I want you to be able to let your head come back a little bit more, so you're a little bit flatter, so you can really open your chest. That's better. That's it. And then let your arms come down and relax. Turn your palms up to the sides. So you're in a lying down butterfly, and there's a little bit of support along the back of your spine so that you can allow the ribs, the front ribs to expand, for you to be able to release tension from the front of the chest across the shoulders. And to breathe and to arrive and to settle. And as you may have read in the email that I shared with you earlier, because it's Mental Health Awareness Week, the theme is kindness. I mean, how appropriate and perfect that theme is for this week. So kindness, we often talk about kindness in the form of ahimsa, where ahimsa is often translated as do no harm. And we often think about that in terms of others and how we treat the world around us and all beings, but also it's applicable to ourselves too. So for tonight's practice, I would like you to set the intention, please, to be kind to yourself. Because ultimately we have to be kind to ourselves before we can be kind towards anyone else. Otherwise we're doing our own self a disservice. And it goes back to that saying of treat others how you would like to be treated yourself. And you have to treat yourself kindly. So how do we apply that in our practice? Well, when we are talking, when we're listening, and maybe I'm explaining a pose that we're going to do, I want you to be kind in your reaction towards it. Because sometimes our immediate reaction is I'm not doing that, or I don't want to do that, or that's not possible for my body. So it's staying open-minded and being very kind in our reactions to this. So taking everything at face value and exploring with an open heart and just seeing what happens, being open to possibility instead of maybe dismissing it or thinking, oh, I'm not going to bother doing it because last time I did it, it didn't work or I couldn't do it. So I want you to stay very much in the positive. And we're going to be exploring some really nice balances tonight. So some standing, we're going to look at Utthita Hasta Padangarasana and some Ardha Chandrasana, so half moon. So lots of lovely standing balances, which are going to be strengthening for the ankles and for the legs. And remember, we talked about this right at the beginning of our online journey, and how that there is a direct relationship between having strong legs and healthy lungs. So we have to keep doing these standing poses. And many yoga teachers will say to you that if once you get the standing poses sorted, the rest of the practice just follows on from it. Okay, but the standing stuff is the foundation for all the other asana. All right. Just take a couple more breaths here, just feeling yourself very present, very aware of what's going on in your body at this moment, and giving yourself permission to be present, be kind for the duration of the practice. All right. So then I'd like you to bring your chin towards your chest, and then I'd like you to roll over to one side and come just gently into a curled position for the moment, letting your head come to rest. Just be soft for a moment, spine releasing. And then you can push out of the way any of your supports that are behind you. Make sure that you have your yoga strap within easy reach, and then come back down to lie, please. Okay, so you're going to be starting off with the knees bent. However, if you are close enough to a wall, then I want you to be a legs with your, so that the sole of your foot, when it's extended, could touch the wall. But don't worry if you aren't near a wall or you don't have a surface. It's just a connection of your sole of your foot against something. So those of you that aren't easily close to a wall, then you're going to imagine that there is a wall there instead, which is just as effective. Okay, now when you're ready, I'd like you to hug your right knee in towards your chest. That's good. Okay, so just a little bit of a squeeze in towards the chest, and straighten your left leg away from you. And if it touches the wall, then brilliant. Press all four corners of your left foot onto the wall. If it isn't on the wall, imagine that it is. So imagine that you are standing and that you are pressing the sole of your foot into the floor. The other knee is hugged in towards the chest, and I want you to relax your shoulders. Let your neck be nice and long. Make sure that your jaw is soft. And this is replicating the pose that we're working towards tonight, only we're going to be doing this standing up. But by doing it lying down, we're beginning to create an awareness within the body and a muscle memory, so it becomes familiar. The body will be able to find it more easily. Okay, so from here you all can do this with ease. So coming up to stand in a minute should be no problem. All right, take a hold of your strap now, and then take the middle of the strap around the ball of your right foot. Your right foot's going to go straight up to the ceiling, and if you can keep the left leg straight, please do, pressing it onto the wall away from you. Elbows soft, shoulders relaxed. Breathe in and bring the right leg a little bit closer towards your body, looking for a stretch down the back of the right thigh. Exhale the leg away. Okay, so it's just a little bit of a movement, not much. If you've got the wall there for your left foot, keep pressing it or keep imagining it's there. Breathing in when you're ready, drawing the leg closer in towards you and exhaling it away. And do this one more time, breathing in, bring the leg, press the left foot away, imagine all four corners of your feet pressing into the wall and then gently release. Very good. Swap feet, please. So left, oh no, actually, let's lose the strap, hug the left knee, take the right leg down towards the end of the mat. Okay, so just pause here again and find that settled, relaxed place. And just putting into the body that little bit of memory, that little bit of experience, so that we know when we come to practice this, standing up, we've already been here. Right foot presses firmly away, all four corners of the feet, and the leg is actively lengthening. Feel that openness that you're creating in your right hip. Relax the shoulders, let the head stay heavy. Keep thinking about there being no tension or tightness in the upper body, and that you have got space all of the time. Okay? And then take a hold of your strap. Take it around the ball of the foot straight up towards the ceiling, press away through the right leg nice and long, and then breathe in, bring the left leg closer in towards you, and then exhale it away. So you're all really familiar with this, we do this a lot. Breathe in, coming closer, breathing out. And why it's so good? It's because we're not having to use all of our postural muscles to hold us up. So we can just concentrate on what the legs are doing. Hold this here for a breath. And then gently release. Good job. Okay, take the strap away. We won't need it for a little while, just in a moment or two's time. I'm going to turn around so that I can carry on looking at you. I'd like you to roll onto your left side, please. You can support your head if you want to, but it isn't necessary. I would like you to keep your right knee bent, but slide your left leg straight down. So your bottom leg is straight down to the end of the mat. Flex the foot, imagine the foot is on the wall, or if you're near the wall, press it onto the wall. If your right knee does not come close to the floor and it's hovering in the air, put something like a block or a blanket underneath it. So the knee is in line with your hip. So you've got your knee at right angles, the knee is bent at right angles. Left leg is pressing away, is active. Right palm is on top of left palm, and you're going to inhale and take the arm all the way up and over, but keep the legs in this same position. You want to keep pressing through the left heel and keeping the right knee down. And go as far around as you can without forcing. Now you can put your left hand on your right knee if you want to, and you can turn to look towards your right hand. See, I'm quite close to the wall, so I've got my right elbow bent, but you can have your arms straight, you can look down towards your thumb if you want to. Okay, just stay here and breathe, couple of breaths. So keep actively pressing through the left leg, all four corners of the left foot stretching down to the end of the mat, and you rotating away from the knee, from the direction of the knee. And this is another of the poses that we will explore when we're standing up in a moment or two, okay? So we can feel our way into this lovely rotation and what it's doing in our hips and our spine. All right, take an inhalation, and as you exhale, return yourself back to lying on your left side, and then you can release and make your way so that you're onto your right side. Okay, and we'll do exactly the same thing. So this time, right leg is straight, left knee, put it on the floor or on a block, it doesn't matter, and make sure that the knee is the height of the hip. It can be higher if you want to. Flex both ankles, press away down towards the end of the mat, through the right foot, all four corners. So it feels like you are actively standing on your right leg. Then when you're ready, left arm comes all the way up and out behind you. It doesn't matter how far it goes. That's not the point here. The point is the legs. If you want to rest your right hand onto your left knee, you can do, and you can turn your gaze to look towards the left and stay here and breathe. All right, just take a few breaths, keeping the right leg very long and active, and turning the body, just breathing in and out. Lovely. And then gently inhale, and let's return our way back to the center. Super. When you're ready, come up to sit. Take your strap with you. Now then, if you've got a strap like this, put a loop into it. So I always have my loop in my strap, whether it's a big loop or a little one, it doesn't matter. It's always there for me to be able to access. If you've got a dressing gown belt, you're going to tie a knot in it in a minute. You're going to take the strap, the loop of the strap, around your lower back. So if I turn to the side, you're going to be able to see this a bit more easily. So the strap is right at your lower back across your sacrum, and this will be easier to see in a minute. I'll move the end of the strap out of the way. And then you're going back to the butterfly legs, so feet together, knees out wide, and I want you to put the other end of the loop of the strap around the top of your feet. So I'm hoping you can see that if I turn that way round. So it's going to look like this. So you are binding your feet. So if you've got a dressing gown belt, you need to find this loop and then make it as tight as possible. Those of you with a strap, you are also going to keep the strap down here as low as you can. So move your top out of the way, make sure the buckle is not digging into you, and then pull this straight. And what it does is it makes you sit up. So the tighter you can get this loop around here, the closer your heels are going to come in, and then all of a sudden you just sit up because it's supporting your lower back. And when you lift from your lower back in this pose, you will find that it becomes effortless. Okay, so the loop, I don't know if you can see, but it's almost impossible for me to move my feet anywhere. Okay, I'm properly bound up with it, and it gives me the ability to sit up tall. So if you're not able to kind of rest into the position, then you've got to get it tighter, and it's really worth investing in a good yoga belt for this pose alone. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall, and this is a really great way to practice Baddha Konasana, cobbler pose. You're asking your knees to lower, and if they're not coming down very low, then you could put something underneath them, and you might find that your knees come a little bit lower. You might try that, and that's okay. Another option is to put a block in between your feet and then tie your feet up. Okay, good. Some of you are still getting there with the straps and the belts and everything. I do appreciate that when you haven't done this before, those of you that are pros, that are seasoned at this, it's like, yeah, this is quite nice. This is also nice to practice with your back against the wall. So if you're looking to improve the stretch of the inner thighs and the openness of your hips, then this is a good one to watch some TV doing, with your, maybe sitting with your back against the wall, so you really sit up straight. Okay, so now that you've got there, I know that some of you might not have already got there, and I'm sorry, but we're moving on. You've got to get yourself out. So try to be careful when you're undoing yourself. It's really tricky to loosen the hold on the buckle. So just be kind and be gentle with yourself, and come out of it in as safe a manner as you can. And then just stretch your legs away from you. And that might feel quite quite nice on the inner thighs and around the groin. Okay, come over onto all fours, please. All right, nice little bit of downward dog and into a forward fold. You could have a brick near the top of your mat. If you've got 2 bricks, have them near the top of your mat. Tuck under your toes when you're ready. Take your bottom backwards towards your heels and start to take your heels. Just think about your heels, please, okay? Don't think about your hands or your legs or any other part of your anatomy. Just think about moving your heels backwards and notice what happens as you lift into a downward dog. So keep pressing the heels back, letting the head hang in between the arms, pressing the palms into the floor and settling yourself into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, and letting your gaze look back towards maybe your toes or maybe higher up towards your navel, whatever feels comfortable. Pressing into the thumb and index finger side of your palm particularly, and thinking about just spreading the shoulder blades across the back of the body as though you're trying to wrap them around the sides of the ribcage. Draw the navel in towards the spine and keep breathing here. Breathe in and breathe out. You're going to take another couple of breaths. Really nice. Just keep building some heat in the body. And then when you're ready to inhale, let's look towards the hands. Start to float the shoulders over the wrists just momentarily. And then walk your feet up so that they are just behind your hands. Feet about hips width apart. If you need a block to put your hands onto, you could use 2 if you want to. You can have it on its side. Whatever is comfortable for you to be able to rest your hands onto the floor, okay, or onto your supports. Then think about lifting the sit bones up towards the ceiling and pressing your hands into the floor. You can let your head hang. The back of the neck can be soft. We're just in a supported forward fold, so nothing too strong here, okay? We don't have to go to our fullest Uttanasana. That's not what this is about. We're about just bringing some stretch and also creating some stability for the body. Good. Take another breath in and out. Lovely. Then from here, take the feet wide apart, as wide as your mat is. Turn your toes out towards the sides and start to lower your hips down into a squat position. Now, if you find this tricky, again, take your brick or some support and sit on it. And then you can put your elbows onto the insides of the knees and sit into a supported squat position. If you're struggling to keep your heels on the floor, roll up your mat. Just roll one end of your mat up and put your heels onto the rolled up end of the mat. Elbows to the insides of the knees, tailbone down, heart up. It's a bit like cobbler pose, but now with a bit more emphasis on remaining upright, a bit more work into the hips. See if you can keep your body weight into your heels. I'm going to stay for another couple of breaths. Good job. One more breath. And then we're going to put the hands back down on the floor. We're going to come back to downward dog. So if you used any supports, roll them out of the way. Walk your feet back, and this time have a pedal with the heels. Very nice. And then we'll pop both knees down onto the ground. So we're back onto all fours. And I'd like you to take your right foot forwards to the top of your mat, to where your hands are. If you need some support for your left knee, put a blanket or a block or something underneath it. When you're ready, lift yourself up onto your thigh And think about the front of your hip bones lifting towards the low ribs. So keep that tilt of your pelvis so your tailbone is pointing down to the back knee. Then you can lunge, but don't lose the pelvic tilt that you've obtained. So keep lifting the front of the hips, but lunge so that you have a stretch on the left thigh and the left hip. Then you can leave your right hand on your thigh and breathe the left hand up towards the ceiling and really actively lift up through the left fingertips as you sink the hips a little bit lower and you find that opening for the front of the left hip. Left side of the body nice and long. That's superb, everybody. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, lower the left hand down to the mat and step the right foot back and take the left foot forwards. Okay. Fine. Make sure that you've got a lunge position already set up so that there is an angle to the back thigh. So then when you lift up, you're already part of the way there. Then it's all your concentration goes into the hips and you're thinking about the ASIS, the front of the hip complex, lifting up towards the low ribs. And with that stability around your abdomen, then you can let the hips lunge a little bit deeper, but keep the front lift going, tailbone pointing down. Left hand onto thigh, right arm up alongside the ear, and reaching up as you look forwards. So as you reach up, the right hip lowers down, and you keep the stability in your core, but that nice big stretch for the front of the right hip. Good, take one more breath here. That's lovely, everybody, well done. And then as you exhale, lower the hands down. Okay, left hand down, left foot back. Downward dog again, please. So tuck the toes under, move the heels backwards in space. And just see whether that changes your sensation in down dog when you think about your heels moving rather than you lifting up or you straightening your legs. It might be a nice thing to play around with in your own practice. Okay, let's walk the feet forwards towards the hands. And then slowly, with soft knees, hands come to hips, inhale your way to come up to stand. Hands down by your sides, gaze forwards, and breathe. All right, so think about the four corners of your feet again, pressing into big toe joints, but making the inner arches of your feet strong and stable by gently lifting them away from the floor if you can. Good. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of a play and a little bit of a work towards a warrior 3, which is where we make a T shape with our bodies. So you may well want to have a brick in front of you. Now, if you don't have a brick or something like that, then a chair is quite a nice, hopefully that's good. This is quite a nice alternative to put your hands onto, but it's also quite a nice alternative. So if you're a bit wobbly, or if you've got an ankle injury or something else going on that means that you're not so certain or so confident, then you could have your foot onto the back onto the chair if you want to, so that when you come forwards, you've got something there to work with your alignment, okay? So we're going to have a bit of a play. So whether you use these props or not is totally up to you. I'm going to move this back out of the way, but feel free, if you've got a chair to hand, or you've got maybe a table or a desk is a great height, a back of the sofa if it's not too high up, that kind of thing. Think about something around about hip height, but the seat of a chair will work because you can tuck your toes onto it. However, you might all be thinking, oh, in a minute, I might wished I had that support. So bear that in mind, because we're going to do some glute work, some glute strengths. So I don't mind what foot you stand on first of all. So I want you to choose a leg and to spread out the ball of your foot and to drag your heel backwards. Okay, so that's your standing leg. Your other leg is going to go onto the floor behind you, the toes are. And you're going to begin to tilt the hips forwards. And when they come down so that your heart is about the height of your hips, draw your navel in to support your lower back. And then lower your hands either onto the seat of your chair or onto your brick, whatever you've chosen to use. Now, first and foremost, we use the brick because it gives us this nice ability to keep the spine flat. And then you're going to think about lifting your left leg straight up behind you. Now then, if you've got a chair and you've got your toes on the chair, it's tucking your toes under and pressing back through your heel. If you've got a wall, you could put your foot onto the wall. If you don't have a wall, you're imagining it, just like you did lying down. Imagine pressing your foot, your left foot, onto a wall behind you. All four corners of your left foot is on the wall. The back of the hips are nice and level, and you are pressing back through your left leg. Good. Now don't lower your left knee, but bend it. So you've got your left knee now bent at a right angle with the sole of your foot facing the ceiling. Imagine there's something heavy, like a big heavy book on your foot. And I'd like you to pulse your left foot up and down, just little pulses to work into your glutes. You'll feel them starting to get warmer. Press, press, press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and come down. She says, having a little bit of a wobble, and come up to stand. Well done. Give it a bit of a shake. Give the legs a bit of a wobble. Super good. Okay, so hopefully you felt that nice little bit of heat being generated into your body. And you obviously sailed through that and was kind and supportive of yourself in your own practice. And because you've done it on one side so brilliantly, we'll do it on the other. So other foot, spread out the toes, drag the heel backwards. One foot, the right foot will be behind. For me, it is anyway. You can bend the standing knee. So remember, there's always ability to, like, little bend of the knee. Folding forwards onto your support. Make sure there's plenty of room for your spine to be long and for there to be a little bit of a curve in your lower back if possible, and for you to draw your navel in strongly. Float up the balancing leg and imagine that that foot is pressing onto a wall behind you. If it is, brilliant. Make sure, please, everybody, that your toes are curling down. That's it, I saw. Well done. So slightly internally rotate your floating thigh so that the back of the hips are stable and you are working your legs. We always want to take the path of least resistance because we're inherently, it saves us energy, basically. It saves us working so hard. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to get strong. So now what I want you to do is bend that knee. Imagine something heavy is resting onto the sole of the foot. You've got the knee as high as the hip still. Hips kind of level. Internally rotate the thigh. And then 20 pulses. So you can count them. Keep going. Halfway. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come down. Well done. You did that with more finesse than I did. Super job. And come back up to stand. Good. Shake it out. Give the thighs a bit of love if they need it. So we did our little bit of warrior threes. Okay. In fact, you could keep your brick there because we're going to work into triangle pose next. So turn yourself to face sideways on your mat and step your feet a comfortably wide distance apart. You can always adjust this position if you need to. Turn your right toes out because we always work to the right hand side of the body because it follows the path of the digestive tract. So the right toes have turned out, the left toes turn in just a little bit, and take the arms up to shoulder height. When you're ready, start to reach towards the top end of your mat, and you're going to take the hand down towards the shin, or you can rest it onto your brick, and the other hand's going to go up towards the ceiling. You look up towards your thumb. Press into the outside edge of your back foot, press into the big toe joint of your back foot, press into the big toe joint of your front foot. And then think about both arches of the feet lifting away from the floor. So that as you're pressing into the four corners of your feet, the rebound is giving you that lift up, right up to the top hand. One more breath here, well done. And then looking down, take an inhalation, come back up. Good, turn hands to hips, turn your toes forwards. And you could take, if you used a brick, take it with you to the other end. Turn the toes out. So left toes for me going to turn out, right toes have turned in. Legs are going to stay straight here, body upright to begin with, arms up, and then reaching down towards the direction the toes are pointing in. Hand then comes down, other hand goes up, and you're reaching up as the outside edge of the back foot presses into the floor, looking up towards your thumb if you can, and breathing into the side of your waist, the side of the rib cage. That's lovely. Make sure that your neck is long, so both sides of the neck is equal. You're not really kind of trying to tilt your head or your ear towards your shoulder. That's great stuff, everybody. Last breath, breathe in, look down, breathe out, and then on your inhalation, float yourself back up to all fours. Good, to stand, she says. Step your feet back together, give your legs a little bit of a shake. All right, so we're still going to use this brick at the top of the mat now. And we're going to work into revolved triangle, because that is also very similar to the pose that you experience lying down at the start of the practice. So come and stand with, you could have a seat of a chair here, by the way. It could be the sofa, it could be anything that gives you some support. Or if you can touch the floor, you don't need to use anything at all. Hands can come to the hips, leave your right foot where it is, and step your left foot back for Parvriti Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose. Now for this pose, it's a forward fold with a twist. The hips stay facing forwards, okay, so there's no movement. This whole area, the pelvis is very stable. Put your hands on your hip creases and bend your front knee. Notice I haven't taken my feet back very far. I want to be able to keep my left heel onto the floor easily. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, fold forwards to about halfway again. So very familiar position this is. Hands can come down onto the block, which is roughly underneath your face. As your practice develops and gets stronger, the back foot will go further back, and the block or the hand will come to the outside of the right foot. The hand will come down to the floor eventually, okay? Wherever you're at, you can have the block or your hands underneath your face to begin with. Left hand stays where it is, right hand goes onto the back of the body, and you keep this area stable, but turn your torso, turn your chest to the right. And then the right hand can lift up towards the ceiling. You can experiment, lower your brick down a bit lower so that you come down, makes it stronger. You can take your hand down to the outside of your right foot and just see where you get to, see where feels good. Practice kindly, okay? So if you try something and it doesn't work out, it's no biggie, okay? You tried, that's the main thing. And if it doesn't feel good or you're unable to breathe, it's not the right time for you to do this pose. Maybe next time will be the right time. Okay, one more breath in. Looking down, exhaling, lowering the hand, coming back to hands on the hips, inhaling to lift yourself up to stand, exhaling to bring the feet back together, back to mountain pose, looking forwards. Breathe, well done. Other side, left foot stays still, right foot steps back. The toes have turned out slightly, but the hips are facing forwards. All right. Hands to hip creases to remind you to tilt here, not in your upper back. Back stays nice, the curve of the back stays natural. Breathe in, bend the left knee just a little bit as you breathe out to come forwards, to find halfway. Hands come down onto whatever support it is that you are using. Left leg straightens to your own ability. Left hand onto the back body, turning the body to the left this time, keeping the right heel anchored into the floor. Left hand lifts, and think about all four corners of your feet touching the ground, pressing into the ground, the arches of the feet lifting. That's lovely. Play around with the height of your brick if you want to. You could leave your left hand on the back of your body. It doesn't have to go into the air. If it feels too strong, give yourself a break. Keep pressing both legs nice and straight, please, and really working into the legs. Lovely, everybody. Very nice. Keep breathing. Good. Inhale to fingertips. Exhale to lower the hand. Hands to hips. Inhale to come up to stand. And step the feet back. Hands down by your sides. Good job. Breathe. Well done. Okay, so we've done it. We're ready to practice our Utthita Hasta Padangarasana. So it basically is hand to foot pose. So hasta is hand, pad is foot. And so we're going to play around with this. And so you might want to bring the chair back, because you could put your foot onto the seat of the chair or onto a desk if you've got a desk height. That's quite a nice height. Or you could use the walls. If you've got a wall nearby, most yoga people will tell you what's one of the most important props aside from your mat, and it's got to be a wall, hasn't it? Because we can do so many things with a wall. Nevertheless, I know it's not always available, so use chairs or use whatever else, or use nothing, go for it. You'll need your strap. Doesn't have to have a loop in it especially, but you could put in a little mini size loop to put your foot through. We're going to stand on one leg, of course we are, because that's the whole point of the pose. So what I want you to do, I'm going to be near the wall so that I can show you it with the wall. You could be near your chair or your desk, or whatever you want to put your foot onto. Choose a leg to stand on. For me, it's going to be my right leg. So I'm going to spread out my right toes, drag my right heel back. I'm going to stand up, maybe put the strap over your shoulder for now, out of the way. And then take your body weight into your right leg and bring your left knee, or your balancing knee, up towards your chest. And maybe if you can, I want you to hold the knee. Keep a hold of it with the same arm, and with your other arm, take it up towards the ceiling. Press all four corners of your feet into the floor and reach up through the hand so that you're creating that lovely long line down your standing side. Okay, so I've been a bit mean here because I haven't said to you you can rest your foot onto anything. If you want to, you can. Or you could have your back against the wall if you really needed to. Okay, take a rest. Hand comes down, foot comes down. So this time we're going to change it slightly. We always, when we come up into any kind of balances, the first rule to remember is to bend your knee and to lift, because it's so much harder to lift a leg up like this. But if you bend the knee, it becomes half the effort. So always, whenever you're lifting your legs, think about bending the knee and then straightening it once you get there, okay? So that's what we're going to do next. So back onto the same leg, same standing leg, hugging the knee in towards your chest when you're ready. And then you're going to work at straightening the leg. Now it might be that you put the strap around the ball of your foot and you stretch that leg out straight in front of you, just like you did when you were laying down. Or you can put your foot onto the chair, or onto the desk, or onto the wall. However, see if you can stand upright, pressing the four corners of your foot into the floor and just holding the position here. How much harder is this to do than it was when you were laying down? Very nice. Have a rest. Bend the knee, drop the foot down. We're not quite done yet, okay? So we're going to do 2 more variations once we get there. So I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see this. If you need to keep using the strap, go for it. If you want to just use your hand, you can do that. You can take your first 2 fingers and hook them around your big toe, okay? So I'd like you to spread out the ball of your foot, so with the same leg, we're still working the same side. And you're going to bring the bent knee up in front of you and give it a hug in. You're then going to take the strap around the ball of the foot, or you're reaching down to hook around the big toe, your choice. You are then working the leg up in front of you. So try to get it up as high as you can, or carry on using your wall or your supports, whatever you feel is appropriate for you. Keep working at this. This is a challenge. Then, if you feel comfortable with this, take your leg out wide to the side. I've got my hands on my hip here for balance. You could have your arm out to the side like this. And see if you can hold this here for a couple of breaths. Think about this standing leg. Press out through the 4 corners of your foot. It's just as you would do with the standing foot on the floor. Good job. Loving that you're all modifying this. You're all having a play. You can do it. Okay. Now to come out, bring the knee back to the center, bend the knee, put the foot down, and shake it out of your standing leg. Good job. Okay, so then just stand in Tadasana. Maybe close your eyes this time and notice what there is to notice between left side and right side. And if you felt a bit wobbly, so what? Okay, it's hard standing on one leg. It's a challenge, and we don't do it all the time, do we? So be kind to yourself. And know that the other side of the body might be completely different, okay? So have no expectations for what might happen on the other side. Be open-minded and greet whatever comes with a smile. Okay, so other leg, we're going to spread out the body weight, drag the heel backwards, and then just start by hugging the knee in towards the chest. Making sure that the standing leg is super strong. All 4 corners of the foot are engaged. And then hold the knee with just one arm and take the other arm up to the ceiling. Look forwards. Gaze at something at eye level. Reach up super high through the fingertips and press down through the leg, activating all the muscles of the legs. Get the quadriceps working to draw the kneecaps up. Okay. And then gently lower, come down to rest. Very good. Okay, we'll use the strap this time, or you use whatever support you have available. And isn't it wonderful where we're in our own home and we've got all these things around us to play with? It makes yoga a lot more interesting. So let's do the same thing. Let's take the body weight into the standing leg, bend the knee, bring it up towards you, and then straight away take your strap, if you're using it, around the ball of the foot. Work towards straightening that leg, lifting it up as high as you can, but not losing your posture, sort of keeping the shoulders relaxed, standing legs strong, Think about that space that you put in the front of the hip, because that's really important. Draw the navel in, point the tailbone down. Nice, everyone. Okay, take a little bit of a rest. Bend the knee, lower the foot. You can use the strap again, or you can ditch it and hold the foot with your hand if you find that easy for you to reach for. Spread out the toes on your standing leg again. Drag the heel back. Find that connection to the earth. Bring the leg up in front of you. Find the foot. Use your strap or your finger around your big toe. I find this harder. I know I always say this, but to take the foot out in front is a lot harder. So hold this, breathe, and then take the foot slowly out wide to the side. And you might find that easier because you've got your counterweight, your balance now. Oh, she says, having a wobble. Breathe in, breathe out. So Hasta Padangusthasana 2, this is. Well done, oh, she lost it. Okay, bring the leg, bend the knee, bring it back to the center, drop the leg down, shake it out. Okay, well done. So you thought we were done, but we're not. We've got one more variation to do. And for this variation, you could use something like a wall or some support to put your hand onto. It's not essential. It could be that you put your hand onto the back of the chair, as in the upright end of the chair, to hold on to. Because we're going to do the twisted, so Parvati version of the pose. And we're going to hold the foot with the opposite hand, or we're using the strap around the ball of the foot. So I'll show you what it looks like. So just have a watch. I'm going to take my standing leg, nice and strong, sole of the foot spread. The bent knee comes up. I'm going to put my hand on the outside of the bent knee, and then my other hand is going to come around behind, and I'm looking back towards my thumb. So that's variation number 1, and what you could put your hand on the wall basically to give you that steadiness there. Variation number 2 is the same pose, but you're holding the foot. The foot is out straight, but the twist is still there, turning back to look towards your thumb. Okay, if you don't get your gaze back or your hand all the way back, don't worry, just put it on your hip and turn if you can. And just see if you can have a little bit of a play with that. Remember to come out, bend your knee to straighten your leg. Okay, so have a little bit of a play. I'll talk you through it. So choose a leg that you're going to stand on. Okay, she says. I'm trying to remember which way I went round. And find your gaze at something in front of you that's at eye height. Bring your other leg in towards you. Take your opposite hand to the outside of the knee. The other hand can go on the side of the waist, and you can use that to turn you around. And this might be your pose tonight, your twisted variation. You could release your arm out behind you and look back towards your thumb. Well done. Or for those that want to, you're going to reach down for the outside edge of your foot. Straighten that leg out behind you. This is like your revolved triangle pose. Very similar. Hand comes behind, look towards the thumb, and breathe. See if you can stand upright, draw the navel in, shoulders up, chest open, breathe. Very nice. Good job. One more breath. Superb. That's excellent. And then gently return, slowly release the leg and shake it out. All right, well done. So you've super worked hard tonight. So we're going to just slowly unwind, take a little bit of a stretch, and we'll come into a really nice Shavasana in a minute. I want you to grab, maybe if you need a cover or a jumper, we're not going to need that anytime soon. We've got 15 minutes yet. So just have it to hand. And then maybe come towards the top of your mat. Bend your knees and start to fold yourself down towards the ground. For a nice Uttanasana, so standing forward fold, chin towards the chest, and just think about this pose kind of creating some stability and some balance for your hips. All right, then fingertips on the floor, bending your knees, lowering your bottom, and supporting yourself so that you can carefully come to sit. Very nice. From sitting, roll down to lying. We're going to come into bridge pose, okay? And if you've got your bricks, if you have the benefit of 2 bricks, they can be quite useful in this pose, but they're not essential. You can use your hands or you can skip that bit out completely, it doesn't matter. Okay, so knees bent, heels in towards your body, feet and knees about hips width apart, shoulders relaxed, hands down by your sides. And then take a breath in. And as you breathe out, slowly curl the back of the body off of the floor, pressing into the soles of the feet as you lift your hips towards the ceiling. Heels firm, backs of the legs working. Breathe in here. And as you breathe out, gently lowering the back of your body down onto the mat. So we're going to only move on the exhalations, okay? So I'd like you to remember that. So take a breath in. Exhale to lift the hips, curling the spine off of the floor, feeling the stretch along the front or the openness that you're creating along the front body, squeezing the glutes, breathing in here, lifting a little bit higher as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, gently lowering back down and attempting to bring the tailbone or the sit bones right behind the heels. So you're really putting space into your spine, okay? Let's do this again, breathing in, staying still. As you breathe out, gently lifting, do this slowly. And this time we're going to stay up. Now, if you know that staying up is too much for you, then you can keep going up and down on your exhales. If you're staying up, I really want you to open up the upper body. So really walk the shoulders a little bit closer together behind you. Press into the soles of the feet if you can. Now, if you've got your 2 bricks, 2 is better than 1 here. You're going to put them on their end and you're going to put them together underneath the back of your body. So I hope you can see that in the picture. I've got them under my sacrum. They're not in my lower back, they're not on my vertebra, they're on the solid bit of bone. And this is quite a nice resting position. It's achievable for me, it might not be for you. You might want to have them on their side or you might want to use your hands instead. But it just gives me that extra opportunity to bring the sternum, the front of my chest, a bit closer to my rib cage, so I can work at opening up the thoracic part of my chest, of my spine. Breathing in and out here, pressing into the soles of the feet, and you're effectively doing wheel pose, but without the arms. So it's quite a nice stretch for the neck, it's great for the shoulders. Now, if you're coming up and down, you're going to do 1 more. And if you're not using the support, I want you to gently lower down. Those that are using the support, you're going to have to press into the soles of the feet, lift the hips a little bit higher, take the bricks out, breathe out when you're ready, and slowly lower your spine back down to the ground. When you get there, bring your knees up towards your chest and hug the knees in. And just soften the gaze, relax the jaw and the shoulders and the breath. So before we come into Shavasana, we're going to take a lying twist. So I'd like you to keep your feet off of the floor, the knees towards the chest. Take the arms out to the sides. Take a breath in here. Doesn't matter which way you go, but as you breathe out, roll the knees across to one side. Now, just like we did at the beginning, you can put something underneath the knees or in between the knees. You could put your hand on the knees. You could stay here. You could turn your head away from the knees. You could adjust your shoulders so that your opposite shoulder is moving in the direction of the floor if it's come away from the floor. If you would like to include a hamstring stretch, work towards straightening the legs. Now, if you've got furniture near you, that's awesome, or a wall or something, because it's actually really nice to be in this pose and rest your feet onto something. So if you can make that happen, you might find that this pose becomes a slightly different sensation for you. Keep breathing here. We're going to stay here for another few breaths. So make sure that you are nice and comfortable. I'm going to come and have a little look at everybody who I can see. Very nice, everyone. Good. Okay. So last breath here. And then in your own time, think about bending the knees if the legs are straight. And then as you inhale, coming back to the center. Hugging the knees in, making sure you feel central and symmetrical along your mat. And then let's do the same thing going the other side. So move if you need a bit more room. And then coming into the pose, please, as you breathe out. So take a breath in with the knees to the chest and breathe out, rolling the knees out to the side. Making sure that shoulders feel comfortable. Arms can rest with ease. You can work towards straightening the legs if you like. And when you straighten the legs, keep the ankles flexed, just like they were when you were in these standing poses. Imagine the soles of the feet are pressing into a surface, all four corners. So the legs are not just laying out on the floor inactive, okay? Keep them active, keep stretching and pressing through the heels. So you're putting that stretch and that length down the back of the legs, and you feel this around the hips a little bit more when you do that. Okay, you're going to take a few more breaths here. So make yourself comfy. Breathe with ease. Good job. And then return your way back to the center. Maybe bend the knees first. Float the top leg up, let the bottom leg follow. Hug the knees in. Have a rock from side to side. And then you can prepare yourself for Shavasana for this evening. Okay. So just a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes lying down. I don't want you to get too comfy and fall asleep. So do make sure that you're going to be warm in case your body temperature begins to drop. Use whatever supports you feel that you might need. So you could put your rolled up blanket underneath the back of your knees, or you could use it as a support for your head. And begin to make yourself comfortable and settle into a position that works for you. Now, it could be constructive rest pose. So that's the knees bent and maybe the hands resting on the abdomen. So if you are worried that you might nod off Then come into a constructive rest position so that you are just a tiny bit more active, and you can take your shavasana when you get into your bed in maybe a short while time. All right. So think about spreading out. So the back of the body, spread it open, spread the shoulders, or let the back of the shoulder blades flatten against your mat, so that then you can let the shoulders and the collarbones spread and the chest becomes nice and open. Think about how much you've worked your hips this evening. So be kind to them. If you need to keep the knees bent, then go for it. But if you can straighten the legs, just think about the leg length becoming that fraction longer. Move the heels that extra millimeter away from you. And then let the back body completely sink. Completely rest. Become heavy towards the floor. Soften the jaw, relaxing the cheekbones and the skin across your forehead, letting the eyelids remain lightly closed and the eyes sinking into the back of your sockets. Letting the breath come and go with ease. I'm going to share with you a tiny story related to kindness, and kindness to those who are happy. So when you read my email, and it had the description of Patanjali from the Yoga Sutras, from book 1 verse 33, and this is about staying open in our own hearts and keeping calm in our own minds. And one of the ways that he suggests we do that is being kind towards others who are happy. And I thought this story is from The Secret Power of Yoga by Nishala Joy Devi. It's a wonderful feminine look at the Yoga Sutras. And the story goes like this. Imagine that you are meeting a friend whom you have not seen in ages. You pack a picnic and head to the park to catch up on what is happening in her life. Finding an ideal spot, you spread out a blanket, lay out the food, and begin to enjoy the tasty dishes and the wonderful company. After the first 2 bites, both body and heart feel nourished. Just then, a man sits down very close to you and lights up a big, fat, juicy cigar. Puffing happily, he leans back in the grass with a big grin, allowing the billowing smoke to waft directly into your nose and onto your food. Before taking any action, observe your mind. Are you annoyed? Even angry? Who is he to ruin my perfect time by polluting us with cigar toxin? Is judgment creeping in? Are you thinking how unconscious he must be to do something like that? Is he doing it purposely to annoy me? Your blood pressure has probably risen, and your immune function is already weakened, not from the cigar, but from your own emotions and thoughts that have taken control. Now, give the heart a chance and look again at the man and the situation. He seems happy, relaxed, and at ease with the world, enjoying his treat. Do you want to spoil the mood and your own special time by responding to the situation with anger and self-righteousness? Those two emotions in particular can take hours to recover from. Instead, try opening your heart and allowing kindness to meet his happiness. With a kind vibration, let the man know that you are happy he is enjoying his expensive cigar. Since you also would like to enjoy your meal, would he mind directing the smoke in another direction, or even better, enjoying it in another location? His response will often match the energy as well as the words you put forth. Most situations in your life are not as dramatic, yet the same remedy will apply. Try overriding the mind's indignation with the heart's desire to love everyone. You may be amazed at the results. All right, we take a nice big breath in and a slow breath out. And as you begin to wake yourself up, perhaps run your tongue across the front of your upper teeth and then your lower teeth. Do this in a circle and then change direction and go back the other way. Nice. Then you can turn your head gently from side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Take a nice big stretch out any way that feels good. And when you're ready, you can bend your knees. Roll yourself over to one side. And then come round and up to sit. Then we can finish our practice together. Excuse me. So sitting any way that is comfortable, cross-legged or kneeling, or even on your chair. Taking your fingertips to the floor. Breathing in and sweeping up the hands all the way up above your head. And as you breathe out, bringing the hands down to rest in front of your heart. Closing the eyes, softening the shoulders and the jaw. And resolving to keep the heart open and the mind calm. Breathing in, breathing out. Let kindness be your guide. Taking another breath in when it comes. Opening your eyes. Well done. Namaste to you all. And have a lovely rest of the evening. And I'll see you next time.